If you've been listening to the Eat More Carbs podcast, you know that Reilly and I are both training for our first marathon. We're both looking for all of the ways that we can maximize our performance, both during training and during the race. To do this, we're using both carbohydrates to fuel our body and 2Before. 2Before is an all-natural pre-workout designed to enhance athletic performance through the benefits of New Zealand blackcurrant berries. Studies have shown these berries to increase vasodilation and prime the body to kickstart muscle recovery. These antioxidant-rich berries have a sweet and tangy flavor and will level up your performance and recovery. Use code Reilly for 20% off 20 packs and multi-serve packs online at 2before.com. This is the Eat More Carbs podcast. Hello and welcome to the Eat More Carbs podcast. My name is Jenna Fisher and I'm here with my co-host Reilly Beatty. Today we have special guest, registered dietitian and marketing coordinator from 2Before, Jen, on to help answer some questions about blackcurrant berries and performance. Jen is originally from Southern California and has worked with athletes ranging from the Olympic to the pro level. She now lives and works in New Zealand and helps athletes with their performance when it comes to taking supplements like 2Before. We're super excited to have Jen on the podcast to help answer some questions.
Before we jump into our high and low, this is just a quick reminder that if you want to spend more time with Jenna and myself, we are now accepting clients who want to work one-on-one for an individual consult where they will receive an individualized plan, or if they want to work on a more continual basis for some extra accountability with one of our monthly programs. You can find more information about our programming and sign up for a one-on-one call using the information listed below.
Reilly, what's this week been like for you? High and low.
All right, I'm going to start off with my low because it's the only place to start right now, because I have been practicing my high and low for this podcast all afternoon, and I cannot think of them right now. I went to the grocery store because I needed to get toothpaste, and I was practicing saying them out loud in the car on the way back. And I don't know what they are because that's how tired I am right now as a new mom. I guess my high on that, though, is Charlie is sleeping a lot more, which has been great because I am somebody that really struggles without sleep, obviously, as you have seen in the last 20 seconds of this. I am actually pretty impressed by how well I am handling it besides this moment right now. We are getting at least, 6 to 7 hours of sleep per night, which I think that's pretty good for having a 4-month-old.
I'm happy to hear that, and I hope that memory starts to improve the longer that y'all get to sleep. I will share my high and low. It's kind of a high to low to high is what I'm going to call it because it's a full story. I've recently been doing my long runs on Saturday mornings. They have to be pretty early because it gets really hot here and I am an uncomfortable, unhappy human in the heat. That's just unfortunately who I am. It's part of, I'm working on it, but it's kind of built in at this point. To incentivize me to run these long miles, I tell myself that at the end, I get to stop at the CVS that's at the corner of my street and get my favorite flavor of Gatorade. They have this one flavor. It's like almost like a bluish teal color. I don't even remember what it's called flavor wise, but it is so good. And I'm sure any flavor after I run 20 miles is going to taste delicious, but for some reason it's this flavor. And I am running, I'm looking forward to it. I'm like, yes, I get my delicious blue Gatorade. I cannot wait. Like I am so excited. I walk exhausted, sweaty, disgusting into CVS. I walk over to the place where they keep the Gatorade and they do not have the flavor that I want. Is this a big deal? No. Do they have other flavors? Yes. In this moment, was I devastated? Absolutely. Because I was looking forward to having this flavor like so much. Like it was this flavor. I wanted it. Oh, so bad. So anyway, I bend over to see what other flavors of Gatorade CVS has, and tucked in the back, there is one remaining of my favorite flavor. And so I got my delicious Gatorade and I was so happy. And it's just the little things in life. Sometimes we just have to appreciate the small things that come together for the small wins on a Saturday morning. So cheers to me and my blue Gatorade.
That is a real feeling though. I mean, I wasn't running when I was in my first trimester, but I could only drink blue Gatorade. I was like, this is my flavor.
There's just something about it. And I know it's not the actual the light blue flavor. It's I don't even know if it's a specialty flavor or a seasonal flavor or whatever, but it has to be that one. And I'm like, that is my Gatorade. So whoever drank a whole bunch of those at CVS, coming for you.
I know exactly what color you're talking about though. I know exactly what color it is. Maybe I need to do more things besides sports nutrition, but I know exactly what color you're talking about.
Yeah, she knows. Well, I'm excited that during this podcast, your memory served us a little bit better and we were able to talk to Jen.
In today's episode, we're talking all about one of our favorite new supplements, which is the 2Before product. It is a blackcurrant product, and this is something that Jenna and I have both started utilizing with our clients and with our athletes. I was introduced to this product last year. This is a new product on the market, and it's something that we have really enjoyed recommending for our athletes because of the performance benefits. But then also, if you are like me and you do not like the taste of beets, it is another vasodilator option out there on the market for those athletes, especially in the endurance space.
Jen, welcome to the Eat More Carbs podcast.
Hey, Jenna, thanks so much for having me. Excited to chat with you and Reilly today.
We're so excited to have you on the podcast to cover some topics that we'd really like to talk with you about, including blackcurrant berries, performance. And first question, can you just share a little bit about like who you are and how you got to be the dietitian working with 2Before and just a little bit of your background?
Yeah, definitely. So I guess I can start with like my academic background and kind of how I got my RD pathway. So I did a 4-year at Chapman University in kinesiology and a minor in nutrition. And then I did my master's degree. It was a coordinated program at the University of Utah. So I did both my internship and my master's program in the 2 years. And then over that 6 years of time, I was interning with universities. I was interning with the Olympic Committee, which is actually where I met Reilly initially, and just had a bunch of different kind of sports nutrition experiences to dip my toes in the field. And then after grad school, I started working with the Utah Jazz. And then from there, I decided to kind of pivot my career and kind of dabble with the supplement side of things. So I met 2Before at CPSDA in 2021, I want to say. And I, at the time, had applied for a working holiday visa to move to New Zealand, kind of just on a whim. Didn't think it actually happened, but I did get the visa and I was like, oh, now I need to figure out if I'm actually going to take this or if I'm just going to like let it go. So I met 2Before at CPSDA, just kept in touch with them. And when I decided I was going to move, I just reached out to Charlotte, who was the basically like head marketing manager at the time, just about like part-time gigs with the company. So from November to April 2023, I was just doing kind of contract part-time work with them. And then April 2023 is when I came on full-time and started being more involved with the company. So I've been with them for about a year and a half total now. And it's been a really cool opportunity to see the production side of supplements and what goes into like new product development, what goes into just like outreach and trying to build a name for yourself. We're a startup and a team of 3. So a tight-knit group, and we all, like I say marketing coordinator, but I'm also doing some sales in the Australia, New Zealand side. So kind of get a little bit of everything. And it's cool to see this part of work because you don't really learn that when you're going through your dietetics program, like marketing and business and whatnot, but it can easily translate back to dietetics.
Doesn't it feel like forever since we were at USA Volleyball? Like, I feel like we were babies back then.
Yeah, it was like 2017, I think. Just so crazy to think about.
Look at us now.
I know. I just remember all of us were working in retail part-time with also our internships. Good times.
Jenna was a Lulu girl, so
Yep.
We've all been there.
Reilly, I know you were Nike, so Jen, where were you?
I was Under Armour, so we just had all of the like athletic wear.
Yep.
Too good.
Jenna and I love blackcurrants. We love the product. It's not a super common product in the States right now. I would love for you to share a little bit more with the listeners about blackcurrant and the 2Before product.
Yes, so blackcurrants are berries. They're a little bit smaller than blueberries and that very dark purpley blue color. They aren't in the States because I believe they were an invasive plant. So you won't find them in the States because of that reason. You will see blackcurrants from Europe, you'll see them from Canada and New Zealand, but the difference between all of those is that the berries grown in New Zealand are grown in very specific conditions. So the UV is very strong in the summer and the soil is different in New Zealand. So with all of those environmental conditions, these berries are going to have that anthocyanin content and antioxidant content that you're not going to find in the European or the Canadian berries. When people are looking for blackcurrant supplements, it could be easy to just like pick the cheapest blackcurrant powder, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be getting the performance benefits. That just means you're going to get like a nice deep purple color in your smoothie and the flavor, but you probably aren't going to get many performance benefits out of it. So the unique thing about 2Before is that each serving is going to have that 120 milligram dose of anthocyanins that have been shown in the studies to have those muscle recovery benefits, the vasodilation, the inflammation management. So with 2Before, it's important to remember that you are getting that specific dosage per serving, and And we're also third-party tested. So for all of the athletes who are competing in sports that are getting drug tested, you won't have to worry about any of those banned substances.
It's easy to see from what you just explained the benefits from taking this, but especially when it comes to athletic performance, what are the recommendations for athletes around taking it? Like, when should they be taking it? How often should we be taking it?
Yeah, so generally speaking, we'll say 30 to 60 minutes before you train to have a serving, and that is just to allow it to be peaking in your blood when you're starting your exercise. With the dosage, generally the benefits are up to 240 milligrams. So that would be 2 servings of 2 before. So we wouldn't necessarily say more is better and to be like taking like, but generally start with 1 and say if you have a hard workout or you have competition, you can double dose from there. We have a caffeinated version as well. That's going to have 120 milligrams of caffeine for any athletes who tolerate it or after that extra kick. And then in terms of like how often to use it, we would say daily. The antioxidant mechanism isn't like your tart cherry or kind of your like vitamin C where it scavenges the free radicals, but because there are pro-oxidants and antioxidants in black currants, that kind of has this hormesis effect on our bodies where it elicits like a mild stress and that gets your own immune system going. So we always say like kickstart your recovery. Think about those remote start cars where you would start it in the morning to like kind of thaw it and get it going. And then when you're ready to jump in the car and drive, it's ready to go. So similar to your body, you're kind of priming your immune system for the stress that you're going to get from your training. So when you're getting into recovery, like you've already started with the black currants, and then you'll do obviously your protein and your carbs afterwards to finish it off. So it's quite unique in that sense where it's not like your typical antioxidant scavenging. So that being said, training adaptations aren't going to be inhibited by taking blackcurrant daily. And in fact, it'd probably help the training adaptations as well because the inflammation management is going to be better and your muscle recovery will be enhanced. So cool, really cool benefits that are coming just from one little berry. And then obviously endurance, I haven't even talked about yet, but endurance is kind of the big one that we found a lot of people talking about. And that is from vasodilation. So it's not quite like your beetroot pathway, but it is similar where it kind of acts on the enzyme in the nitric oxide pathway.
You touched on pro-oxidants. We hear a lot about antioxidants, but I don't think athletes are familiar with pro-oxidants. So can you explain that a little bit more, please?
Yeah, so pro-oxidants are essentially the opposite of our antioxidants. So they will create stress on our body. And initially that might sound like, well, why would I want more stress on my body? But because of the profile of anthocyanins in blackcurrants, it's about a 50-50 ratio. So it's equal pro-oxidants and equal antioxidants. And because of that ratio, you get the hormesis effect that I was just talking about earlier, where there is just a bit of a stress to kind of turn your body on, but it's not going to do damage or be harmful.
I think that's a really good point because there's so much out there right now about how stress is such a bad thing, but stress is actually like a good thing for the body in the right dosing to allow that, adaptation to occur.
Yeah, especially for the training adaptations. I think people kind of think, oh, let's just like eliminate all stress, but then that obviously is going to take away from your body's own ability to take care of itself.
You mentioned endurance. For listeners who are maybe unfamiliar with how vasodilation contributes to improvements in endurance, how does that work?
Yeah, so think about getting more bang for your buck. So your blood is flowing more efficiently through your body. That means the nutrients, the oxygen is going to get to your working muscles quicker for the same effort that you were working before. So essentially you're going to be able to be more efficient with your training and your exercise. So enhancing blood flow and just getting all of the nutrients that your body needs to where it needs to go.
Reilly and I are both training for marathons right now. How can we implement 2 before into training for a marathon? How would that potentially benefit us as far as reaching our goal of finishing our first marathon, since we don't necessarily have time goals, but we just want to finish?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, good starting spot would be to have it before your training runs, just 30 to 60 minutes before with the carbs that you're taking in. And if you like to have electrolytes before you run as well, you can mix those all together. And then say when you're getting into the longer distances, longer runs, you could either try taking 2 doses before you set off, or you can have 1 during in addition to the 1 serving that you have before. So you're kind of like keeping that level of anthocyanins stable throughout. So it's kind of that trial and error to see, like, do I like to have it during, or do I prefer to just have it both before? And then my during is just going to be like my electrolytes and my gels and whatnot. So yeah, a lot of trial and error there, but it's pretty simple in terms of having it before, generally speaking. And then if you want to try it during as well, you can.
If you are going to have 2 packets before, does the timing change?
No, the timing will still be the same.
Something that I really like about the product, it tastes good. And Jenna and I were actually both talking about this week, is we like it because it tastes good. Obviously it's effective, but it tastes good and you don't really feel super heavy when you're running with it. And obviously every single athlete's going to be different, but I'm somebody who struggles with GI issues during a run. And I know with some other pre-workout products, it can make me feel a little bit heavy, make me feel, a little grumbling and stuff like that. But with the Blackcurrants, I've found that I feel really good when I'm running, as good as I can be running postpartum right now.
Yeah. No, the taste is definitely a big thing for us. I think we all know the earthiness of beets can sometimes be a bit off-putting, especially like before a run, and even just like compliance with athletes and getting them to take a product. The berries are definitely a lot more welcoming in terms of flavor. But yeah, in terms of GI distress, we really don't get many complaints or feedback on GI distress. So it's definitely something to try out for anyone who's looking for a little endurance boost, or say they're training for their first race.
I think I was shocked, same as Reilly, with how good I felt from a GI standpoint, knowing that I have a very sensitive stomach. Truthfully, I felt so good. And I was surprised that it tastes really good, because it's hard to find both of those things. I just want to echo that incredibly impressed with the taste, but also was like very surprised with how good I felt from a GI standpoint.
Yeah, and I think too, it's nice that it blends well with other flavors quite easily. So like say if you're putting in a smoothie, it's not going to overpower it. If you mix it with your electrolytes, it tends to like taste nice. And even say if the plain water isn't good, just mixing it with apple juice. Like you're only having really like 4 to 8 ounces, so it's not too much liquid anyway. So say if you're someone who can't really take in foods before run, getting your carbs through the juice and then getting the blackcurrant as well could be a good strategy.
I love the idea of mixing that with an apple juice. That sounds really good.
I wonder if you could like make it into a little bit of like a slushy too for like our athletes in those warmer climates as we're coming to summer in the States. I know it's turning into winter down there, I believe, but yeah. We're trying to figure out all the heat stuff right now.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it would be great in a slushy.
The athletes will be much happier to see us walking around in the locker room with like an apple blackcurrant slushy compared to like a beet powder.
Beet slushy.
We've talked a lot about like the endurance side of things. What about from the recovery benefits that this can provide?
Yeah, so we like to call this a pre-recovery, because obviously you're going to take it before you work out, but it is going to contribute to the recovery benefits. The main pathway for these recovery benefits is the NRF2 pathway. So essentially with this 50-50 antioxidant and pro-oxidant balance, that is what activates the NRF2 pathway, and then you're going to get the inflammation management, the better muscle recovery, the training adaptations, benefits like that. There's also 70 milligrams of vitamin C naturally from the berries as well. So you are getting the vitamin C not in a crazy dose, but just enough to give you that antioxidant benefit. So it's a bit unique when it comes to recovery. I think a lot of people might think of like protein to rebuild your muscles and carbs to replenish your glycogen, but thinking of recovery in the sense of like relieving the inflammation that you're having through exercise.
This is kind of backtracking a little bit, but we've talked a little bit about like timing around taking 2 before, but how long will it stay in my system? I'm not the fastest runner. Should I be doubling up on dose because I'm going to be running for longer? What does that kind of look like?
Yeah, so it peaks generally around 2 hours after consumption. For the double dose, it's more so the concept of like trying to keep those anthocyanin levels steady in your blood. So say if you feel good with 1 packet before and you try a second packet during and you feel great, then I would say keep doing that. Or if you want to try a double dose as well.
So if I'm an athlete that has a shorter training session, like we'll say a shorter training session, right? Like a 60-minute, does that mean I want to take the product closer to 60 minutes out because then I'll be closer to peaking during my training session? Or I can take it 30 minutes before, it doesn't matter?
Yeah, so I think the best approach will just be what works best for the athlete to make that will like have them take it. So say if they're using used to having their pre-training routine 30 minutes before, and that taking something else 60 minutes was just another kind of chore for them, another thing that they'll have to check off and remember. Then from the stand, just ensuring that they're more consistent, stick with the 30-minute. But if they are able to take it further out, say no more than 60 minutes, then that's good as well. But I think the bigger picture, the bigger idea is just what's going to help the athlete be more consistent. Because if they remember like 1 hour take this, 45 minutes take this, 30 minutes take this, it kind of becomes like a chore checklist thing. Just trying to make the athlete's life as easy as possible.
Easy stuff works. So Jen, we ask everybody a couple ending questions. The first question is, what is your favorite carbohydrate? This is the Eat More Carbs podcast, so we have to know.
Favorite carbohydrate would probably have to be pancakes. Love breakfast.
That's a good one.
Breakfast foods, so pancakes and waffles.
Okay, what is your favorite pre-workout fuel?
Oh, banana, classic.
Do you have banana pancakes? Can you combine them?
I feel like because I train at like 5:30 in the morning, it's quick and easy. And then if I am running, I will take 2 before as well.
What's your favorite post-workout fuel?
Post-workout will probably be Greek yogurt, cereal, berries, and then maybe a couple slices of toast, depending on what I did.
And then seems to be the hardest question, but what is your favorite pair of kicks? We're big shoe people here.
Ooh, I don't really know much about shoes. I just got a new pair of New Balances. But yeah, otherwise I can tell you my running shoes are Asics. The gel Kayanos, so I run in those. But yeah, other than that, like I literally just got New Balances this past weekend, and before that I would just wear Vans. So I feel like I'm pretty simple when it comes to shoes.
We have a remarkably high amount of people that share that their favorite shoe is their running shoe or like their favorite like casual sneaker. So I think we're all pretty much in the same boat there.
Yeah. I was like, I don't really know what my favorite shoe is.
Jen, thank you so much for being on this episode. We so appreciate you sharing all about 2 Before and how we can use it to boost performance. For anyone who has questions for you or wants to follow along, what's the best way for them to do that?
So you can follow 2 Before on Instagram at 2 Before Performance, or you can contact me through my Instagram, which is Jenho Nutrition. So that's JENHO Nutrition. And then if you want to shoot me an email, you can also send it via jen@2before.com.
We will leave all of Jen's contact information and also how to find 2 Before in the show notes of this podcast, so that way you can easily find them and also easily reach out to Jen. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Eat More Carbs podcast. Please make sure you rate, subscribe, and review. And as always, remember to eat more carbs.